We are talking the latest Detroit Lions news, and we got a lot to cover in this video because a lot of interesting things occurred over the weekend. We're going to talk about the latest regarding Aaron Glenn and him potentially trying to become a head coach somewhere, as well as Amon-Ra St. performs really well, and DJ Chark speaks. Listened to a little bit of nuggets that he was saying while he was getting an interview done. But before we get into today's video, if you are not a subscriber to Lions Nation Unite, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Trying to get to 6,500 subscribers. And without further ado, let's get this thing going. We're going to start off this with Aaron Glenn. It's probably the most important news right now. That kind of affects our football team. And a report came out that he is no longer head coaching candidate for the Arizona Cardinals. That is right. He is off the list. And I don't think this is much of a surprise to anybody. At least I've been talking about the odds of him becoming the head coach of the Cardinals seem slim to none. But he wanted to go out there and give the interview, give himself a shot. Because when you looked at the Lions defense this year, they're probably looking for something a little bit better than what our defense ranked, even though I think we can all be honest here that it's definitely not all his problem. Lack of talent. The second half of the season was much better than the first half. A little bit of, a lot of things taking place throughout the season. But I think we all could realize that this guy was potentially not getting that job. But it doesn't mean he's out of the woods of getting a head coaching job, because there's still one team left out there that needs a head coach, and that is the Indianapolis Colts, at least from where he interviewed from. He is still on that list to become a head coaching candidate for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, let's be honest here. The Colts did an extensive search with a ton of coaches to potentially become their next head coach, and the odds of him getting this job seems extremely unlikely. Looks like that Aaron Glenn will be coming back to the Detroit Lions like we all expected, and hopefully the defense can continue to improve like it did in the second half of the season. He's going to have a much better talent pool for him to utilize in the 2023 NFL season than he did this year. We expect to acquire some free agents, and a lot of players in the draft should be defense, at least high picks in the 2023 NFL draft. So you're bringing the same scheme back. You bring an AG back, and I know a lot of the players are going to be happy about this, the defensive players, because they really liked Aaron Glenn, and it speaks to his leadership skills. So we'll see how well it does. Hopefully it does get better, because we need this defense to improve in a big way, because if not, the goals that we like is probably going to not be reached. But if we see this defense improve, we see the scheme year 3 with Aaron Glenn continue to make the players better, then the Lions should achieve the goals that we expect them to. We're talking about make the playoffs, and at least for me, win the NFC North. That's what I want to see. Continuity is going to be back for the Lions. You're going to get Ben Johnson is coming back, obviously, and it looks like Aaron Glenn will be coming back unless unforeseen circumstances with the Indianapolis Colts. Let's talk about Amon-Ra St. He was showing off in the Pro Bowl this weekend. I got to say, I enjoyed this Pro Bowl compared to years past with games. The flag football game was actually competitive. Shockingly, they were really trying to compete. The skills competition was fun to watch. And Amon-Ra St. won the best catch in the competition. Did a front flip, catch the ball, then he jumped over Rory to catch the ball, and he beat Diggs out. So it was really good to see our players show out in the Pro Bowl, Penei Sewell showed his athleticism. Frank Ragnow, even though they came up short in their competition. And then you got to see Jared Goff out there and Amon-Ra St. Brown get a touchdown as well in the game. The Lions players are starting to get the recognition they deserve, and it was nice to see them get that love, and then obviously St. Brown win that competition, because I was rooting for him like hell. I wanted him to win. I wanted him to get the love that he deserves. It was really, really cool to see. We're going to talk about DJ Chark because he had an interview on YouTube with Amon-Ra St. Brown and his brother Equanius St. Brown, and he had a lot of nuggets to talk about in free agency, so let's go over that right now. He said the one thing I can say about the coaches in Detroit, that they know your kids' names, and they're really into like who you are as a person, Chark said, whereas not always the case. A lot of different personalities that mesh well. It's very, very high expectations throughout the building, Chark says. The expectations of receivers. Being a coach, Ben Johnson's offense, you really got to be in the playbook every week because it's very detailed. There's no excuses for messing up, so that's accountability. I haven't probably had that since college. Just holding you to a standard. I love everything that he said there. First off, I do like the fact that the coaches know who you are. I think that's been a problem for many years, especially with Matt Patricia. He could care less. This guy was just an absolute brute. Brutal to deal with. And now you're starting to see a culture in Detroit that's more humane. Let's be honest here. They know who your family members. They actually care about the players as people, not just players, but as people. And if you live in any sort of environment, or you work in any sorts of work environment, when you have your employers that actually give a damn about you, things seems to be that much better. Work is just that more better and capable to doing your job, and you want to do better. That's just the way it is, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but when my employer cares about me and my family, it means they give a damn. So you work hard for them. And I love seeing how that is the case here with DJ Chark. And now he dealt with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He dealt with Urban Meyer. He had a bunch of coaches throughout his tenure and quarterbacks. But it was a disaster where he was at in Jacksonville. It comes to Detroit, and it's not. And you're seeing a lot of people want to stay here, and they covet what's going on here. And then obviously the playbook, the standard is high. That is what I like to see. I remember when Peyton Manning was playing for the Indianapolis Colts. This was in his earlier years. The expectations at practice was a football better not be hitting the ground. The expectations was extremely high. I always liked that philosophy of having high expectations in practice. They're physical in Detroit Lions practice, and the expectations are high. This is no longer getting a paycheck. You're here, you expect to win, you expect to win each single drive. That's what you like to see. That was good to hear from DJ Chark, and it's good to hear for our team. But he continues on to talk. He says, because the offense, where they kind of force a person to do it all, I'm going to force you to do all the crossing routes and quick routes. I'm going to make you run the balls. And sometimes you get a player that can do all those things, like Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. He can do all those things, but catches a defense off guard when all the people are good in different things. So we're going to use it all. Going into this year, I'm trying not to worry about it. He's talking about free agency. It's going to happen. I feel like I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. If that's Detroit, that's great, because I have got really good friendships, and I would like to be there. It's really good. But it's a business. You never know. Yeah, 100%. Like, you got to have a innovative offense that players can do it all. They are utilizing their strengths, so it's good to see. We've seen that with the Ben Johnson offense. I mean, so many times throughout my fandom as a Detroit Lions fan, I can look at an offense and kind of guess what they're going to do. Run, pass, punt. We've seen that a million times where you're watching the game, you know what they're going to do. But with Ben Johnson's offense, that's not it. Like, there's a lot of surprises and mixed up schemes in how they utilize the players in that is really, really good. When he talks about free agency, this is kind of like where I'm standing at. I want him to be back. I don't want them to overpay. I think they should try to get him to come back, but we can't overpay. Now, there's going to be teams like the Chicago Bears that got $1 billion in cap space. They may overpay for a player like DJ Chark. I don't want to do that because that's going to ultimately hurt the team. But I would like them to attempt to sign him back. But you're going to have to take a little bit of a pay cut. Because if you want to continue to be in this offense, we can't overpay for players because you got contracts eventually that's going to be coming up for St. Brown in a couple years and Penei Sewell. And you got to attempt to re-sign Jamal Williams and everything, like all the players that we're going to be getting. So you got to do that through the draft. We can't overpay for players. So I would love for Chark to come back. I would. I like the chemistry him and Jared Goff were having at the end of the season, and I think they should attempt to, but be cautious with the money. Just like Kenny Galladay. You don't want to overpay than to have a guy getting paid a ton of money doing absolutely nothing because he's always injured. Is DJ Chark the same as Kenny Galladay? No. But that is the price you do pay for potentially having injured players and problems over there. That's just the way that it works, folks. It is. So it is a business. He's 100% correct. And I think that they should take this as a business. But we'll see going forward. Got a lot of videos dropping on Lions Nation Unite. Live show tomorrow. It's 1 p.m. because I have to go to my back therapy. So we'll start at 1, and we'll have fun talking our Detroit Lions. With that said, adios.
Perfect.